an annexation petition and plan of services for approximately 22.5 acres located along Veterans Parkway and Old Salem Road. Randall and Deborah Robinson in the city of Murfreesboro are the applicants. Mr. Donovan.
Thank you, Chair Halliburton, and good evening, Planning Commission. So the first item before you tonight is an annexation and plan of service for 4 parcels. 3 of those parcels that are circled in red are the ones being petitioned by the city of Murfreesboro, and then the larger parcel is what is being petitioned for annexation by the Robinsons. There is also included in that some right-of-way, approximately 710 linear feet of Old Salem Road right-of-way, as well as 300 linear feet of Veterans Parkway. Some backstory on the 3 parcels that are owned by the city. Those are remnants from the Veterans Parkway project. And the Rutherford County Road Commission also reviewed the right-of-way for annexation and consented to annexation on June 23rd. This total study area is 22.5 acres and does have an accompanying rezoning request to go along with it, which will be the next item, is to rezone the property owned by the Robinsons to PRD Robinson Bend, which would potentially allow 52 single-family detached homes and 31 single-family attached homes. The annexation area is within our urban growth boundary. It borders the city limits on both the northern and southern sides of the annexation area, and the area is within our service infill area. Staff has been working with other city departments to draft a plan of service, which has been included in your packet. Due to its close proximity to the city limits, it's going to be relatively easy for the city to extend services upon annexation, with the lone exception being sanitary sewer, which the property owners we'll have to work with neighboring properties, particularly the Robinsons. We'll have to work with the southern property owner to extend sewer to the north to their property. There's no current timeline for that extension to take place, and that extension will be the responsibility of the developer to complete. Staff is supportive of the annexation request for the following reasons. The subject property is contiguous with the existing city limits. It is located within the city's urban growth boundary and within the service infill area, and services can be extended to the subject property upon annexation. The Planning Commission will need to conduct a public hearing on this matter, after which it will need to formulate a recommendation for City Council. I'm happy to answer any questions, and Rob Mulchan, who is representing the applicant, is here as well.
Commission have any questions for Mr. Donovan or Mr. Mulchan? If not, we'll open up the public hearing. And just to, for folks that are here for this application, the following application is the actual plan development, talking about the development itself. This hearing is with respects to just the annexation, just for reference. So anyone that would like to come and speak with respects to the annexation application, please come forward. Seeing no one, we'll close that public hearing, and any questions or comments from the Planning Commission or motions.
Move for approval of subject staff comments.
Second the motion.
Ms. Jaco?
Vice Chair Ava Water. Aye. Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Prince.
Aye.
Mr. Rollins.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Chair Halliburton.
Aye. Next item on the agenda is a zoning application for approximately 19.26 acres located along Old Salem Road to be rezoned, zoned PRD, Robinson Bend PRD, simultaneous with annexation. Summit Development LLC is the applicant. Mr. Donovan.
Thank you, Chair Halliburton. So this is the rezoning request for the one property that the Robinsons owns in the prior annexation. As far as adjacent land use and zoning, there's a mixture of both commercial and residential adjacent to this property. To the north is vacant property that is part of the Marymont PUD that is in place, as well as some single-family residential that is within the unincorporated county and zoned medium-density residential in the county. That medium-density residential zoning designation extends along this eastern side of the property, and there are also single-family residences there. And then along the rest of the eastern property line, the southern property line, and along the west, you have commercial highway zoned property that's in the city that is mostly vacant, with the exclusion of a cell tower that is just to the south. And then in this little notch up here, you have a single-family residence that's in the county and zoned RM, medium-density residential there. As far as the Robinson Bend PRD itself, let me get it to a layout page. So the PRD proposes 83 total units. 52 of those are single-family detached, with 31 of those being an attached product. The single-family detached product will be on a minimum 6,000 square foot lot that is minimum of 50 foot wide. Both the detached and attached homes will feature either 1 or 2 story designs with front porches, rear patios, and 2-car garages on each. The detached homes will have a minimum of a 1,400 square foot floor footprint, and the attached homes will be a minimum of 1,200 square feet for each of those additional. There are the current access for the subdivision is off of Old Salem, but there are 3 additional access points going in each of the other cardinal directions to provide access as those property to neighboring properties as they develop. The PRD itself includes several amenities. There's some open play areas in this area, as well as a soccer field and open play in the northern section. You have the mail kiosk that provides approximately 10 parking spaces that's adjacent to one of those open space areas. And then on the attached home lots, there are 10 spaces to the north, and then 6 additional spaces to the south now that have been added since this was last seen. I know there were some concerns from the Planning Commission when this was before the body last about some additional parking there to the south. Okay. As far as architecture goes of attached and single family, there are quite a few options that are in the pattern book that I'll go through, scroll through so you can see. Mr. Mulchan will have an update for you on the architecture. What they are committed to in the verbiage of the pattern book is a 30 to 36 inch water table that'll be either brick or stone, and then hardy above that. That is a 4-sided material standard that'll extend to all 4 sides of both the attached and the detached products. So here's some examples of the detached product, and then the attached product here. And as I mentioned, Mr. Mulchan will have an update regarding this as well. All right. Some additional items of note: there's a type A buffer bordering this residential in the county, and a type A buffer that will back the attached product to that commercial lot, and a type D which will back that single family residential structure that is in the notch on the property. In your staff report, there's a note in there where public infrastructure was requesting a left turn lane into the site to accommodate traffic from Old Salem Road. And initial plans had shown that, and staff has requested that be added back to the pattern book. However, it hasn't been included yet, but there have been some discussions with staff that I'll let Mr. Mulchan explain to the Planning Commission there what the plan is for that. So we do have a plan in place that I'll let him explain further. exceptions to the PRD. There is one exception, and that is related to parking of the attached product. They are only providing a portion of the parking in the driveway for the attached product. The PRD itself does include provisions to limit the garage spaces to parking only, no storage, and they will meet the size requirements that are present in our zoning ordinance. An additional item that I forgot to talk about with the attached product that came up when this was before Planning Commission last is there were some concerns about turns into that private alley for the attached product. From a public safety standpoint, they have provided us turn templates showing that fire trucks can make those turns into the attached product. As far as the future land use map is concerned, it identifies this area as auto urban residential, which is targeting approximately 4 to 12 units, dwelling units per acre, and a minimum lot size of 6,000 to 10,000 square feet. In this case, with the lot being over 4 acres, there are some additional criteria that, if it can be met, would allow an attached product, such as they're proposing, and that's a maximum of 20% of the overall acreage consistent of those attached units, and a maximum of 40% of the total number of units being that attached product. The proposed PRD meets the criteria for the AUR designation in both the density and the attached unit criteria. So the AUR designation is consistent with, or the rezoning request is consistent with the land use plan or land use map for this area. Staff is supportive of the rezoning request because the rezoning request is consistent with the future land use map designation of AUR and providing a mixture of single-family attached and detached homes. The proposed PRD is compatible with surrounding residential and commercial areas by providing a balanced mix of housing types and landscape buffers that create a transition between nearby residential and commercial areas. And the subject property is currently underdeveloped with only 2 accessory structures and situated in an area of active residential growth, making it well positioned to complement ongoing development trends and meet housing demand. Planning Commission will need to conduct a public hearing on this item and make a recommendation to City Council. I'm here to answer any questions, and Mr. Mulchan also has a presentation for the Planning Commission.
Any questions for Mr. Donovan at this point?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Donovan, if we can go back to the buffer, the very buffer that faces Old Salem Road, is that I didn't get a chance to write it down, is that a D buffer or a buffer?
So you're talking about this buffer
yes.
here, correct? So it is not a buffer yard. What they're proposing there, and I apologize, I missed this, is would be in the open space area and has a 20-foot landscaped yard area there. So it's not a specific buffer type or planning type that they're looking for there.
Okay.
Any other questions before Mr. Mulchan makes his presentation? Thank you.
Good evening, Chairman, members of Planning Commission, Rob Mulchan, SEC. I'm here tonight on behalf of Summit Development to present to you Robinson Bend, a request for annexation in PRD zoning. You can see the site here located along the southern edge of Old Salem Road to the east of Veterans Parkway and to the north of New Salem Highway. So it's a very heavily congested area in regards to a lot of infrastructure for this development to take place. As we talked about, the zoning on the property currently is RM in the county. We're requesting PRD. As you can see in the zoning map on the upper diagram on that side, the southern portion and the western portion of the property is lined by commercial highway zoning here in the city. There's a little fragment to the west of the property that's the existing home that's still in the county under RM zoning. To the east and north is also RM zoning in the county. And to the northwest is the PUD zoning for the Marymount Springs zoning classification up in that zone there. As we talked about during Richard's presentation, this property is designated as AUR, Auto Urban Residential. We're proposing the development tonight to stick in line with those criteria for that, as you heard from Mr. Donovan, and also in regards to the following presentation. Couple pictures really quick to kind of show you what the existing character of the property is. This is a view looking from Old Salem into the south, so you can see the existing farmland with the TVA tower that crosses through the property in the background, and then further in the background you can see the cell tower on the adjacent property to the south of us. This is a view looking back towards Old Salem across that same farm field from the other side of this TVA tower. This picture here is the house to the west that's still in the RM zoning along Old Salem. This is the house to the east of our property along Old Salem. This is a view looking along Old Salem roadway as you're looking eastbound, heading away from our property. And this is the view looking westbound back towards the Veterans Parkway intersection, where you can see the extent of the existing roadway that was built with Veterans Parkway, the curb and gutter section of that section leading up to our property line, which is falls about 10 to 15 feet short of the property. The project being proposed tonight is a PRD. We're looking for a total of 83 dwelling units. 52 of those would be single-family detached lots. 31 of those would be single-family attached townhomes on 19 acres. So you're looking a little bit over 4.3 units to the acre. So that's in line with the AUR designation for the property on that side. Open space, we're required 20%. We're actually exceeding that, making it almost 30% open space across the property itself as well. As you can see in the diagram, in the actual concept plan, we do have one point of access to Old Salem, and then coming into the property and following the TVA easement, we come across the property. We have 3 points of ingress, egress, as Mr. Donovan talked about, one to the west to the CH property, one to the south to that CH property, and then again, another one to the east. So we're covering all 4 boundaries of our property in regards to access to the property, whether today or tomorrow on that side. The single-family detached lots highlighted in this diagram here show you, it shows the bulk of these would be to the north, east, and southern sections of the development. This is 52 lots on 3.1 acres, or 3.3 acres. So when you're looking at this, a typical lot size would be 50 foot wide by 120 feet deep. So that's a minimum 6,000 square foot lot size, and the minimum living area for these homes would be 1,400 square feet. Mr. Donovan was talking about some of the architectural character. We do have a pretty good smattering of homes presented in the booklet, and we've been asked by staff to trim that back. And so the representative images you see in this section of the presentation tonight will be the images that are shown in your pattern book on pages 36 and 37, and then this is the single-family detached product. So in sticking with our requirements that we've outlined inside the pattern book, that we've made at least the minimum of a 30 to 36-inch high brick or stone water table with hardy board above that on all 4 sides of the buildings on that side. Of course, those brick and stone materials could go up in the amounts of percentages of that you can see in these diagrams here. So these are the elevations that are on those pages that we want you to consider in regards to those architectural characteristics for the single-family detached. Next is the single-family attached townhome section. This again meets the is under the 20% threshold for the AUR. So we're looking at 31 units on 3 acres, so a little bit over 8.6 units to the acre just for the townhome section on that side. These would be sold as HPR, horizontal property regime. Minimum square footage for these would be 1,200 square feet. Minimum 2 bedrooms, maximum 3 bedrooms on that side. We also be requesting an exception for the townhome section in regards to limiting the garages to vehicular use only. Those will be restricted in the restricted covenants for those townhomes so that we can appropriately get enough maximum parking to meet our requirements for our parking on the development itself. These again are some of the representative elements in the townhome section of the booklet. These are the elevations we would ask you to consider for passage of this to City Council. Any pages that represent architecture outside of those pages would then be ripped out of the book before we get to City Council on that side. So that way, what you guys are approving tonight is what would go to Council as moving forward on those.
On that picture that you got in front of us, so are some of these just single car garages?
Yes, the interior units are single car garages, the exterior are 2 car garages on that side. So that's why we're asking for the exception to restrict the garages to car use only so that we can maintain meeting the requirements for parking for each of those units across the development. And again, starting off minimum, 30, 36-inch water table, hardy board above, those percentages of masonry material, aka the brick and stone, can go above beyond that. As talked about, we do have one point of main ingress today. We've got 3 points for future attachment and the future those developments. As we talked about, we were asked at the last planning commission to show that the standard fire truck for the city could make those turns into the development and the private side of things, where the private alley, there's a private street that's along the townhomes, that's the access for the townhomes. Those diagrams are represented in that corner there. There was also discussion during the workshop in regards to looking at opportunities to increase guest parking spaces on the southern side of that. So in working with staff, we have removed what was in the previous plan was a temporary cul-de-sac on that western side, which allowed us to gain an additional 6 more guest parking spaces on that southern end. So there's guest parking at both ends of the townhomes on that side. Open space, like I said, we've got well over the 20% minimum requirement on that side. We've got various spaces in this. The upper quadrant there where we got the soccer field and some seating areas on that side. We've got underneath the TVA easement, we've got plenty of area for open activity lawns on that side. The right-hand side, we've got actually a little seating area incorporated with that. And then, of course, we've got down this bottom corner a little pocket park with a little fire area on that side as well. This project will also be providing some buffering to adjacent properties. On the northeastern side, we've got a 10-foot type A landscape buffer. That's for the adjacent residential property backing up to our single-family detached lots. In the southwestern side, we've got the same 10-foot type A buffer that separates our townhome section from the proposed commercial highway next door, and then providing a 15-foot type D landscape buffer between the attached townhomes and the single-family RM zone lot on the northwestern corner on that side. As part of the development package, we're looking at an opportunity to go ahead and create a good aesthetic front door to the project. So that's kind of creating that 20-foot landscape yard. And this is kind of gives you the picture that you see on the screen right there, and is also incorporated in your book. Kind of gives you an idea about what we want that front appearance to look like in regards to that, kind of putting some mounding in there, a whole bunch of different types of plant species, whether that be canopy trees, understory trees, evergreen trees, shrubs, to really make a very good looking front door presence, but also to separate the proposed homes along that roadway so that it really has a very good clean green look along the frontage of the property as you drive down Old Salem Road.
Any questions for Mr. Mulchin?
Hey Rob, on the single car garages, you said they were deep enough to park 2 cars, bumper to bumper?
Yes. 2 cars in the driveway and then 1 car in the garage.
Is there any buffer behind lots 45 through 52 on the south side at all? On the backyards? I'm assuming the backyards will be facing veterans, correct?
Those backyards are facing, they are facing south towards the Veterans and 99 intersection, but they are separated by the adjacent property owner, which is the Foundation's property down there. So there is a pretty good distance between the back of those homes and those existing roadways on that side. And with that being zone CH, don't know what the end user on the Foundation's property would end up being at some point in time on that side. But based on typical zoning, we're not required to have a buffer between single-family detached and commercial highway. Commercial highway would be providing the buffer between those uses in the future and these single-family detached units in this property.
Any other questions for Mr. Mulchin before we open the public hearing? Thank you, Rob.
Thank you all.
All right. We will now open the public hearing with respects to the PRD itself. Anyone in the audience would like to come and speak for or against this application? Seeing no one, we will close the public hearing. And does the Planning Commission have any questions or comments or motions associated with this application?
If there are none, I move for approval subject to all staff comments.
Second.
Having a motion and a second, go ahead, Ms. Jacob.
Vice Chair Ava Water.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Prince.
Aye.
Mr. Rollins?
Aye.
Mr. Wright?
Aye.
Chair Halliburton?
Aye. That application is approved. The next item on our agenda is a zoning application for approximately 7.46 acres located along Bill Smith Drive to be rezoned from Commercial Highway to GDO 1 to PCD, Toyota Murfreesboro PCD, and GDO 1 TT of T Murfreesboro Incorporated is the applicant. Mr. Barbie, how are you?
Doing well, Chair. Chairman Halliburton, members of the Planning Commission. This next application before you tonight is a request on the behalf of Toyota of Murfreesboro to rezone a parcel of property from Commercial Highway and Gateway Design Overlay District 1 to Planned Commercial District and Gateway Design Overlay District 1. Apologize, I'm trying to get through all of these images.
Yeah, there were a lot of elevations in there.
Here we go. The surrounding area to the north is currently outside the city limits of Murfreesboro and is zoned residential medium density in the unincorporated areas of Rutherford County. The properties to the east and the south are zoned Commercial Highway and Gateway Design Overlay 1. There are two commercial highway parcels, one here that's not showing up and one there, that are currently vacant and zoned Commercial Highway and Gateway Design Overlay 1. The brown area here to the left is zoned Residential Multifamily 16, and Gateway Design Overlay 1 is developed as Panther Creek Park Apartments.
Mr. Barbie, why don't you scroll down to the aerial photo? That might.
Is it? Much better. The purpose of this PCD zoning is to construct a new 7,500 square foot building on the existing property. This current site is being used as excess inventory storage for Toyota of Murfreesboro. The purpose of this building would be additional auto repair, maintenance, and vehicle preparation space for their main facility located to the east. It's not intended to be a facility for customers to bring their vehicles to. Customers would still deliver their vehicles to the main facility to the east, and then Toyota of Murfreesboro employees would drive the vehicles over to this new facility in order for the work to be performed. You'll see in the building architecture that it's somewhat nondescript, and that's done intentionally so as not to attract customers or others to this property. Since you previously reviewed this application on August 20th, there have been two exceptions that have been added. The first exception that has been added to the plan book is so that the building's architecture would not be required to meet 35% void space on the exterior elevations. The second exception would be to reduce the 10-foot space between edge of drive aisles and building down to 5 feet. 5 feet is our minimum base of building planting area. 10 feet is generally required between drive aisles and the building. So those two exceptions have been added. Future land use for this area identifies this parcel as general commercial, which is consistent with this request before you tonight. Staff is supportive of this zoning request as described above for the following reasons. The proposed commercial use and zoning is consistent with the commercial development pattern and zoning along Bill Smith Drive. The proposed structure is approximately 300 feet away from the nearest property used for residential purposes, providing a substantial separation and buffer to mitigate any potential negative impacts. The request is consistent with the recommendations of the Murfreesboro 2035 Comprehensive Plan. The Planning Commission will need to conduct a public hearing tonight prior to formulating a recommendation to the City Council. I'm available if there are questions, and Mr. Brian Grover from SEC is also available to field any questions you may have for him.
Any questions for Mr. Barbie? Thank you.
And Mr. Grover has a presentation.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no. Hey, Brad, I didn't get rid of that circle thing on there. I didn't get rid of that thing. I got that. Go to this side. Thank you. Good evening. I'm Brian Grover from SEC. I say to Chairman Chairman Halliburton, new name, first time. Congratulations, by the way. And the members of the Planning Commission. With me tonight is Matt Taylor, one of our senior engineers from SEC. I want to thank you for the opportunity and your consideration for this rezoning request. This request being located just behind the Toyota of Murfreesboro dealership. This is on Bill Smith Drive. You all know that Fortress Boulevard just runs just to the southeast of this image. As the site sits today, is currently used for excess inventory. It's approximately 7.5 acres in size, and it's currently zoned commercial highway. Similar properties to the east and south are also zoned commercial, with residential properties to the west across Manson Pike and to the north within the limits of Rutherford County. The future land use plan sees this as general commercial. That entails more of a higher intensity of commercial business with access to arterial roadways, as well as including land uses such as auto-related services as well, which you will see match quite closely to the proposed PCD. Some existing site photos. This is looking into the site from the main access point of Bill Smith Drive, and this is looking from that access point to the west. This is about the approximate location of where this building would actually be located on site. The remainder of the site is very similar to this, just parking for excess storage. This is Bill Smith Drive, the access point looking northwest as well as southeast. When it comes to the surrounding area, primarily it's commercial with some heavier multifamily residentials to the southwest. I would say that when it comes to the most conflicting land use, it would be to the north in Rutherford County with those single-family homes. However, thankfully there's that natural barrier of Overall Creek right there and quite a distance of natural woodlands around that stream to help provide a natural barrier between the two. The proposed site is going to primarily remain unchanged. As you can see here, there is a proposed building approximately 7,500 square feet in size. The existing parking lot for the remainder of the site, as well as the vegetation, will remain unchanged. There is a few existing formal open spaces that are going to remain on site as well as some proposed ones closer to the building, and the inclusion of loading and unloading zone, as you can see there on the right side of the development. I won't go over all the development standards, but there were some similarities between this and a previous PCD I think you saw come through with Mazda. Signage will be included along the right-of-way to the development to help mitigate or promote drivers to unload and load their deliveries on site rather than in the right-of-way. And those signs will be posted and visible from the right-of-way. Any additional on-site lighting will comply with the City of Murfreesboro standards. When it comes to the allowable uses for this site, the sole use for this site is going to be automotive motor vehicle repair, but this use is strictly accessory to Toyota of Murfreesboro and is not intended, and it will not be allowed to operate as a standalone site. The setbacks for the site actually remain the same as if it was commercial highway, so there's no change there. And as stated before, the existing vegetation along that natural edge and the perimeter near Bill Smith Drive will remain unchanged as well. There will be some additional landscaping around the building, and if any trees were disturbed or damaged during the process of construction, those would be replaced as well. The architecture, you will notice, is actually very similar to the service reception area at the existing Toyota dealership in terms of material, style, as well as even some of the trim they have on here. This is the elevations as you have seen from Bill Smith Drive on the top and the northern elevation on the bottom here. The eastern and western elevations, the primary difference between these would be the roll-up doors, but once again, following suit with the existing building over the Toyota dealership, these roll-up doors would primarily be transparent. There are 2 requested exceptions with this PCD. One being the architecture to reduce that total void space that is required below the 35% threshold, as well as the reduction of that landscape area from 10 feet to 5 between drive aisle edge and the building. Anytime a site in the GDO is over 5 acres, which doesn't happen all that often, that requirement's increased from 5 to 10 feet. So with this use of this building being as minimal and as little impact as it is, we think it would be appropriate to reduce that back down to 5 feet. If you guys have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer those now or after the public hearing.
Any questions from the Planning Commission?
Is the existing parking lot remaining? Or are
Yes.
you, okay,
Yeah, they'll remove a portion of it and obviously put the building there,
right.
but the rest of the parkings remain the same.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we will now move and open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak for or against this application? Seeing no one, we will close the public hearing. And any questions, comments, or motions from the Planning Commission?
Motion to approve, subject to staff comments.
Second.
Ms. Jaco?
Vice Chair Averwater.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Prince.
Aye.
Mr. Rollins.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Chair Halliburton.
Aye. Next item on the agenda is plats and plans. Under that is Salem Landing, Section 3, Master Plan Amendment and Preliminary Plat for 203 lots on 69.1 acres, Zone PRD, located along Collection Lane and Thompson Road. Salem Land Company LLC is the developer. Mr. Donovan.
Thank you, Chair Halliburton, and good afternoon. So the item before you today is to amend the master plan for Salem Landing by adding Salem Landing 3, which was rezoned at the end of last year and annexed into the city. Before you on the screen, you should see the master plan that includes approximately 565 lots. Also included in this approval is the preliminary plat, which includes 203 lots to be developed in 4 phases, along with amenities that include the walking trail, basketball courts, a dog park, as well as the mail kiosk. Staff has reviewed both the master plan and the preliminary plat, and they're in generally good order. Staff recommends approval of the amended master plan and preliminary plat, subject to staff comment. I'm happy to answer any questions, and Mr. McGuire is here to answer any questions as well.
Any questions for Mr. Donovan? If there are none, any discussion or motion?
Move for approval,
Second.
subject to all staff comments.
Vice Chair Averwater.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Prince.
Aye.
Mr. Rollins.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Chair Halliburton.
Aye. Next item under new business is a zoning application for approximately .72 acres located along Bridge Avenue to be rezoned from RS10 to PND and to amend the existing PND zoning Transit Center PND for approximately 5.4 acres located along New Salem Highway and Bridge Avenue. We Go Public Transit is the applicant. Ms. Smith.
So this particular project, we've been working on for a couple of years as the city has been constructing the transit center, which just recently opened, if you haven't seen it yet. So you'll see on the aerial, the area designated in green, previously was a church. The church sold the property to the We Go RTPA group, and it has been recently removed in preparations for this coordinated park and ride facility. Because citywide, we do not have the ability to have a standalone parking lot. It's a prohibited use. We had always anticipated about a year and a half ago that it would be part of our city's planned institutional district program book. So our program book, and I just took a one-page excerpt out of this just so you can kind of see it in its context, because the aerial looked like it didn't have the most up-to-date one, but if you look on the current aerials, all of these facilities are actually in place on the city's transit facility and operational, but the intent is that folks can actually park at this facility. They have actually extended this sidewalk adjacent to the property so that it could enter at this location down here. And then currently there's this, I'll call it building that you can actually wait for your bus if you want to. And for long term, it also has restroom facilities, but the gate that you come through here is locked at a certain time of the day. And the perimeter of our current transit facility is also fenced fully. And the only other entry points are up here at the side, where there actually is currently a sidewalk that comes into the site, I believe, at this location. Yes. And then there are gates there for when the bus traffic can come in and out. No regular vehicles can come in at this particular point at the project site. But what they'd like to be able to see is that capability of if somebody, let's say, is a one-car family, they drop off the person, they can then get on the transit. WeGo Transit actually provides transit in between Murfreesboro and Nashville. Yes. So as we're looking at it, we're still kind of working at lightning speed to try to update their site plan. So this is, wanted to share with you their anticipated site plan, which we are currently in process of reviewing. Our city teams are going to be meeting out in the field to make sure that how we incorporate things in the program book will work for both sites, because as they have constructed some of the landscape, for example, they said, well, geez, if we're not a church next to our planned development, we won't have this type D buffer, as an example, right? So when we were building our facility, some of those assumptions were taken into consideration so that at the full site, they can function really together, but still be owned separately from the city and the WeGo, and ultimately council will most likely have an MOU in the process. And then because this is a zone change, Planning Commission would make its recommendation after their public hearing, which we are recommending for the October 1st date, and then it will ultimately go to council for their final one. But we will have, by Monday, the program pages that are going to be in the book, amending the book. So it does two things. It will change the green area site from its current RS single-family residential status to a PND, and then we're actually amending the entire PND, so that's that 5.4 acres, by incorporating this, and we'll update kind of landscape buffers, setbacks, those specific things. So we're excited about the project. If you, again, haven't seen the new facility yet, it's coming along great, and they're working there all this week and I think last week. And staff recommends to set the public hearing for October 1st for the rezone. And we anticipate their site plan will be coming pretty close to concurrent, because they're wanting to build the site and we're losing the season. So we'll probably see their site plan next month. And not be implemented until council makes a final determination.
All right, any questions for Ms. Smith? If there are none, do we have a motion?
Move to set the public hearing for October 1st.
Second.
Vice Chair Ava Water.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Harris. Mr. Prince.
Aye.
Mr. Rollins.
Here. All right.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Chair Allen.
Aye. Here too. Next item on our agenda is an annexation petition and plan of services for approximately 32.1 acres located along Salem Road Sherry Wade Metzler is the applicant. Mr. Donovan.
Thank you, Chair Halliburton. So the annexation that we're considering this afternoon includes one parcel that has an abandoned single-family detached home on it, and it is situated just to the north of Old Salem Road that you can see on the map there. The annexation area also includes approximately 3,000 linear feet of Old Salem right-of-way. On September 2nd, the Rutherford County Highway Commission reviewed and consented to the annexation of that right-of-way. And this total study area is approximately 32.1 acres in size. This petition for annexation also has a companion rezoning, which will be the next item that we review to rezone to zone the property. Planned Residential District, Old Salem is the name of that PRD, and it contemplates 66 single-family detached homes as well as 32 single-family attached homes. The annexation study area is within the city's urban growth boundary. It is contiguous to the existing city limits along its eastern margin or northeastern margin in this area, as well as that's the northern boundary, not northeastern, and then contiguous along the eastern to a prior annexation that this body considered that is working its way through city council just to the east. It is also within the service infill line area mentioned in the comprehensive plan. Staff is currently working with other city staff to prepare a plan of services on how this area would be served if annexed into the city, and we'll provide that to the Planning Commission at the public hearing. Planning Commission will need to discuss the annexation petition and schedule a public hearing. Staff is recommending that public hearing for November 5th.
Any questions for Mr. Donovan?
We have to set the public hearing for November 5th.
Second.
Vice Chair Ava Water. Aye. Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Prince.
Aye.
Mr. Rollins.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Chair Halliburton.
Aye. The next item is the companion zoning application for approximately 27.9 acres located along Old Salem Road to be zoned PRD simultaneous with annexation. Patterson Company LLC is the applicant. Mr. Donovan.
Thank you again, Chair Halliburton. So this is the companion rezoning for the 28 acre parcel being considered for annexation along Old Salem Road. So as far as adjacent land use and surrounding zoning, what's primarily around this is single-family residential with a few utility uses in the area as well, but it's all zoned residentially. To the north along Windrow Road is zoned PUD, and that is the Marymount Springs PUD. CUD also has a pump station, and MTE has a substation located along Windrow Row as well. There's also some single-family detached residential that is within the unincorporated county and zoned RM. They're medium-density residential in the county, and that RM zoning extends along the western and southern portions of our southern properties as well. Those are all within the unincorporated county as well. So the PRD itself, and let me get to a overview of the development, consists of 66 detached single-family homes and 32 attached single-family homes. So the attached homes are concentrated in the middle of the development with the single-family detached surrounding it. The 66 detached homes will have a minimum lot size of 6,000 square foot with minimum lot widths of 50 feet. They will adhere to our typical front setback of 35 feet. They are asking for an exception when it comes to the, what I call the secondary front, which is when you have a corner lot and it has two fronts. On the second front where the garage won't be facing, they're requesting to have a 25-foot front setback, and that would reduce that setback by 10 feet instead of what we would typically see in a 35-foot requirement there. The sides are 5 foot and the rear would be 20 feet. In the 32 single-family attached homes, these of course will be a horizontal property regime. There are a few exceptions here for setbacks. And if you kind of notice their location, it'll make a little bit of sense why they're requesting the exceptions that they are. The front is proposed to be at 20 feet, which would typically be a 35 feet. If you notice, these are all proposed to be rear loaded, so there won't be any driveways along the front. Then typically that 35 feet helps provide driveway parking in those areas. And they're also asking for an exception from the secondary front, so that side that also faces a street, from the 35 foot to 15. As far as other setbacks for the attached, they're 10 feet between building minimums, and then from the rear setback of the main building and garage face to the alley curb, they're proposing a 25-foot setback. As far as architecturals for the single-family attached homes, what's being proposed here is a height that won't exceed 35 feet. There'll be 1 to 2 stories and have a minimum of a I'm sorry, I'm reading off the attached. The detached homes will be 35 feet in height, 1 or 2 stories, have covered front entries and optional back patios, as well as 2-car front entry garages, and be a minimum of 3 bedrooms with a minimum of 1,600 square feet. As far as architectural material that you see here, they've committed to a 4-sided 24-inch minimum water table that will be either brick or stone. And that's for all 4 facades. All 4 facades will also be brick, stone, or a fiber cement board, with the exceptions of the soffit, which are, of course, would be vinyl trim. As far as the attached product, the attached product is going to be not to exceed the same 35 feet, will be 1 or 2 story minimums. It says have a minimum 1-car entry, but if you notice in the elevations, those are 2-car entries. There's a little bit of an inconsistency with what's shown and what's there. We'll have that sorted out before the public hearing. They will contain a minimum of 2 bedrooms and at a minimum of 1,300 square feet. As far as materials, it'll be subject to the same standards as the detached home. So you're looking at a 24-inch brick or stone water table on all 4 sides, and then brick or stone and cement fiber on all 4 facades, with, of course, the vinyl soffit and trim. All right, as far as parking goes, the single-family detached portion of the project can provide 4 spaces within the driveway. The single-family attached project is proposing 64 spaces to be provided in that rear entry driveway, and they're required to have 106. So this is another area where they'll need an exception since they're unable to meet that full requirement. And they're requesting an exception for 42 garage spaces to count towards parking. Those are going to meet the requirements in our zoning ordinance according to size and be constrained by the CCRs to only be used as parking. As far as guest parking that's provided on site, it's kind of centrally located around the attached. You will see 3 spaces that are associated with the tot lot and walking trail / fitness trail that is provided as an amenity. There are 5 spaces located just south of the 2 northern attached unit buildings, and then 10 spaces at the very southern portion of the attached units, and that's also where the mail kiosk is located in that area. As far as the other open space outside of the walking trail and fitness trail that I just mentioned, in Tot Lot, they are also providing a Type C buffer along the rear of the property where some of those single-family detached homes in the county are most near the homes that would be built in this neighborhood, and then a 20-foot wide open space area along Old Salem Road that they're proposing to plant with Type A planting. So it's not going to be a Type A width, it's proposed to be 20-foot wide, but it'll have the same plantings as a Type A buffer would. So I mentioned there were 4 exceptions in this PRD. I'll just recap those quickly. On the detached product, the second front yard, they're requesting that be reduced from 35 feet to 25 feet, so you're looking at a 10-foot reduction there. On the attached product, the front where the building would be facing, they're requesting a reduction from 35 feet to 20 feet. And then on the second side, that would be also be kept under our ordinance, be classified as a front, they're requesting a reduction from 35 feet to 15 feet, so that's a 20-foot reduction. And then the required parking exception for those additional 42 spaces that are not able to be accounted for in the driveways at the rear of those attached units. So as far as the future land use plan, it identifies this area as suburban residential. So suburban residential is ID'd in our comprehensive plan as having a density range of 1 to 4 dwelling units per acre, and recommends our zoning districts from RS15 to RS10, as well as mentions PRD is acceptable as well to allow for cluster developments, which allows for smaller lot sizes are permitted as long as the overall density is met and the remainder of the land is preserved in open space. So Old Salem is proposing 3.5 units per acre. So they're meeting that overall density requirement, but are proposing minimum 6,000 square foot lot sizes for the detached portion of the project. And then they are also including some attached homes, and this is a little more consistent with what we would see for auto urban residential, but it does meet that overall density requirement for the suburban residential. The Planning Commission will need to determine whether the rezoning request in its view is consistent with that SR land use character, which permits cluster development in a PRD. And kind of the reason for this is that PRD mentions cluster development in smaller lot sizes, not necessarily change in housing types, which the attached homes would be a little bit of a change in housing type versus a detached product. Planning Commission will need to discuss the rezoning and schedule a public hearing. Staff is recommending the public hearing for November 5th. I'm happy to answer any questions, and Brian Grover with SEC is here representing the applicant and can answer any questions as well.
Does the applicant have a presentation or no?
He does not.
Okay. So I've got a question. It sounds like that the attached is going to be a single car garage. So how many cars can be parked in the driveway?
Yeah, and what information we've been provided right now, they would be able to park at least 2 cars in that driveway. And Chair Halliburton, this is where I mentioned the elevations they're providing us actually show what would be a 2-car garage, while the language says 1 car is what would be permitted. So there's an inconsistency there. We need to get the applicant to clear up before the public hearing as well. And I don't know,
Can
Brian,
y'all
you
confirm
answer
that now?
Commissioner Halliburton, I practiced this time. It is 2-car garage for these units, so
Oh,
we'll
there
make
it
sure we
is.
get that fixed in there. But it would be 2 in the driveway, 2 in the garage.
Okay.
All the units?
For all the townhome units.
All the townhome units, yeah?
Yes.
And the same requirement would be that the covenant would be that they're supposed to use the garage for parking, correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
In the zoning ordinance today, there is a subclause that states the specific language that's going to be needed to make sure that that requirement can be utilized. We'll make sure we utilize that language.
Okay. Thank you. Glad to hear it's 2 cars. Any other questions? If not, do we have a motion to set a public hearing?
Move to set the public hearing on November 5th.
Second.
Vice Chair Ava Water.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Prince.
Aye.
Mr. Rollins.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Chair Halliburton.
Aye.